Are nuclear power plants safe? Adam LeClaire. A few days ago, an atmospheric river of historical significance released more than a month's worth of rain on coastal British Columbia, where I live. In the space of 48 hours, up to 3 times the amount of rain that would normally fall in an entire month came down. Across 400 kilometers. By the end of that storm, Canada's third largest city was physically cut off from the entire continent by road and rail, as every highway and rail line was blocked, destroyed, or washed out in multiple places. Store shelves from Victoria to Kamloops are empty, and today the BC government began gasoline rationing as stations across the province are running dry. 5 months ago, the areas that are underwater today were breaking heat records by margins that scientists used to think were meteorologically impossible, and 4 months ago they were on fire. On fire so badly that, had we not just broken all fire records a couple years ago, and a couple years before that, would have broken all historical fire records. So when you ask, is nuclear power safe, I ask you, compared to what? When someone asks, is skydiving safe, the thing they're comparing it to is not skydiving. When someone asks, is that ladder safe, the thing they're comparing it to is not climbing the ladder. But when someone asks, is nuclear power safe? We are categorically not comparing it to just no nuclear power. Because if you enjoy, well, really anything that's been invented in the last 200 years, including the average expectation of living well into your 70s, you are comparing nuclear power to other forms of power generation. But more specifically, to the overwhelmingly dominant form of energy production in use today. As other answers have pointed out, yes. Compared to other forms of power generation, both in raw numbers and per unit of power generated, nuclear power is incredibly safe. By literally every single metric you could consider. But I have to stress, the choice isn't power by nuclear power or no power. Today, tomorrow, and for decades to come, the choice is going to be a choice of some mix of nuclear power plus renewables, or some mix of renewables and an additional massive discharge of carbon into the atmosphere. Those are your choices. Those are your only choices. And right now, the idea of a couple of relatively small nuclear disasters every 3 decades seems a heck of a lot safer than what Western Canada has been dealing with for the last few years. Because it literally doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter if you live on high ground, or 1,000 kilometers from a coast, or in the least climate-sensitive pocket in the world. Life as you know it is not possible in a world where areas the size of England have their entire physical supply chain infrastructure destroyed by a single storm with any regularity. And that's the world we're headed toward without a massive investment in nuclear power. 73.6K views. View 4,059 upvotes.